Good morning, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to this week's Weekly Energy Boost. My name is Elisheva, and I am here this beautiful morning with David. And we are here to share with you how to make the most out of the coming not only 7 days, but 30 days. The Weekly Energy Boost is a spiritual energy forecast. And by gleaning through the wisdom of Kabbalah, David, myself, and our guests make the effort to share with you the most practical and powerful wisdom that will help you navigate the energetic terrain of the coming weeks. We've been focusing on specific topics relevant to the month, and this month is no different. We happen to be, unusually, it doesn't always happen this way, but today, which is Monday, it is the new moon. The beginning of the month of Taurus is upon us, and one of the Kabbalistic teachings about the month of Taurus is that is the month of healing. So we are going to be looking over the next 4 weeks at how to bring ourselves to a state of wellness and health, not only physically, but also mentally, spiritually, and holistically speaking. So this episode is really an introduction to that, kind of to give us the trajectory of the following 3 episodes as well. Specifically, I think that when I think, or when the people I know think of what wholeness means, at least in English, it means complete, to feel complete, to feel fulfilled, to feel one, all of the pieces of the puzzle fit together. And over the last few months, we've also had professionals on the show, guests, that have shared with us different perspectives on mental health, emotional well-being. And I really feel that this month brings us to this culmination of it really is how you look at it. I think that's one of the first things that we talk about when we bring the wisdom of Kabbalah to someone who is not familiar with it, is that the mistake that we often make in life, or the mistakes we often make in life, are misjudging, right? Jumping to conclusions, thinking, okay, I saw what happened. This is how it makes me feel. This is what it makes me think. This is how I am going to change what I'm doing based upon what I witnessed, what my eyes saw, what my ears heard. You know, we even say something smells fishy, right? We use our senses to intake what's going on around us. And Kabbalah teaches that that's not necessarily the full picture. It is never, in fact, it is never the full picture. And so when we even talk about wholeness, it brings to mind the idea that sometimes we feel incomplete. Sometimes you say, I feel something's missing, and that's valid and genuine, and that often comes up because our soul is pushing us to go to the next level. But many times that feeling of incompleteness, inadequacy, lack is awakened by our perception of what someone else has or what's going on around us. So part of our conversation, of course, we want to talk about what the work of the individual is to bring that sense of wholeness to their lives on a regular basis, but also to identify what are the barriers, what prevents us from recognizing how truly complete and whole we are, how we really lack nothing. And our perception of lack is simply that which is awakened externally so that we can move to our next level.
We talk about a lot in our sessions where Kabbalah says that the secret to life is reconciling 2 concepts. Number 1, that we are souls that have a desire to receive fulfillment and what we call the light of the Creator. But the irony is that if we just focus on the receiving, the way universal law is set up is you're not allowed to receive. So, for example, I've talked about this many times in our shows, where if you need something, you won't be able to receive it. So to the extent that you're needy of something, the universe doesn't have permission to give it to you. You can kind of take inventory over what you feel needy about, and to know that the neediness has a desire component to it, which is important, because without a desire, you can't receive. But then there's another aspect to this neediness, which is by itself, if I just need something, then I don't have affinity of form with the creator, which is a giving force. And as a result, that thing can't come to me. So if that's relationships, if it's you're trying to change your economic situation, if it's just wanting to improve your mental health or your spiritual health or your physical health, that desire and craving on one hand is good, on the other hand it's also blocking you. So what do you need to do? You need to desire and to want, to crave, and at the same time, what we say, let go, or work on not being attached to the outcome, not letting that outcome define who you are. And I think that's what we're talking about, because who you are on the inside is eventually what you'll attract on the outside. If on the inside you feel lack, you feel like you're a victim, you feel like things happen to you, the whole litany of things that we talk about, negative thoughts. So eventually your outside will look the same way. Even though you crave and desire a better reality, you do not have affinity of form with the light of the Creator based on everything that we've learned in Kabbalah. As a result, your life is at a standstill. So it's a little bit of a deep concept, trying to be in these two places at the same time. In Kabbalah, we call it the left and the right column. The left is the desire to receive. The right column is that desire to share, but we know that people share when they feel whole. So it's this is what the show is called, Awakening Wholeness today. When you feel whole inside of you, you're activating the right column. But if I feel whole, then does that mean I don't want something? No. You can want and feel whole. And if you can achieve both those at the same time, then you can receive.
It's important, excuse me, it's important to also throw in there that desiring more doesn't imply dissatisfaction. I think that especially when it comes to relationships or jobs, work, we sometimes feel guilty when we want more, or that we should just be happy with what we have. And that, I feel, is also a paradox, that standing in two places at once, knowing that I appreciate, I value, I'm grateful for all that I have, and that doesn't preclude me from having more. My relationship is amazing, and it can be more amazing. My job is fulfilling, and it can be even more fulfilling. The fact that I want more is not I think that sometimes, like if I were to go to my husband, of course it's not a good example, but imagine yourself going to your partner and saying, I feel like we can do even better. Or let's do it the other way. Our partner comes to us and says, you know what? I feel our relationship can be even better. How many of us wouldn't take that personally? Wouldn't say, wow, what is that a reflection of on me? Is my partner saying it's not good enough right now? Even that, when someone else succeeds, when you have a friend that gets married or finds the right person or gets the job of their dreams, or you have a coworker that gets promoted, it's very easy to say, well, when is it my turn? When is my time? And the idea that there's no competition except, I know it sounds so self-helpy, but it's like we're our own worst competition or best competition. So there's no, it's actually a, what's the word? We're getting ourselves more off track by using other people as a measuring stick. That idea that anybody else has, got what I want. There isn't enough happiness for everyone on the planet. There isn't enough love for anyone on the planet. That is one of the functions of the voice of the opponent that often triggers those feelings of lack or incompleteness. And part of the practice of observation, being able to pause, as we say in almost every episode, the power of pause is the ability to observe and to say, wait a second, where is this coming from? Is this coming from the true me, the real me, my soul, my light, my true essence? Or is this another opportunity that the universe is giving me to rise above, to elevate out of, and to grow even stronger in my connection to my source, right? If I'm looking at whatever someone else is achieving or accomplishing, they're the source of my energy. They're the source of my inspiration. And it's okay to look around once in a while and say, you know what, I do need to push harder. I do have to make more effort, but not to devalue myself because of the effort that someone else is making.
We would love to hear your thoughts and questions. live. You can post it on my Facebook page or on the live YouTube stream that we're doing right now, and we can address it in live time. I know that Elisheva is going to share a couple concepts right now that we've learned from our teachers about being whole inside and not attracting, as a result, that negative movie, that negative reality. And I also want to say that the majority of people are mainly falling into the trap of beating themselves up and being tough on themselves. And I don't know if that's you. If you're listening right now, are you the kind of person that's very hard on yourself? You're hard on yourself. You're always thinking that you can do things better. As a result, you're probably hard on other people, judging yourself. And one of the ways that we know that we're hard on ourselves is when we have a lot of sadness. Now, that's usually a sign that we're overly hard on ourselves. And the Kabbalists share that the balance of feeling whole and complete versus looking inside and maybe seeing what's missing is respectively a 98% to 2% balance, meaning that my day needs to be filled with feeling complete, feeling whole, that I decide that, I choose that. A sign that you are whole is that you're happy, regardless of what's happening outside of you. And it's a muscle you have to work on. You have to work on this. It doesn't happen naturally. And then that 2% is you pick a time. You choose a proactive time to look inside yourself. And that could be just probably a total of 20 minutes in your day. So, but for most people, it's the other way around. It's 98%. I'm upset with myself. I'm expecting more from myself, and maybe 2% or those 20 minutes, I'm proud of myself, or I feel that in fact I have everything I need. So this is how the opponent works. The opponent wants you to feel lack the majority of your day, and then that day has become wasted. That day now is just attracting more lack.
And I was in preparation for today's show, I was doing a little reading, actually doing a lot of reading. And one of the articles I came across that was written by our teacher, Rav Berg, the Rav was talking there about how, you know, one of the things that plagues us in modern times is stress. And we've done episodes about it as well. If it's a trigger for you, you can go back and listen to those episodes. Mm-hmm. But what the Rav was saying there is that we look at stress, or let's say the experts teach us to manage stress by taking on less. Or eliminating situations, you know, change your job. If your job is stressful, maybe it's not the right job for you, which there's a valid discussion to be had there for sure. But the Rav was emphasizing the idea that it's really our perspective, our outlook. And like to David's point, it's a muscle that we need to develop. Not we need to, it behooves us, it's in our best interest to work on strengthening that muscle of choosing how things affect me, choosing, and the being able to shift our response. Yes, I have a lot of things to do, and I actually had this moment yesterday, and it's kind of I just had this overwhelm both of things to do and emotions and thoughts and different things going on, and I decided, you know what, it's going to help me not to have to go to the grocery store today. If I can knock that off my list and bump it onto Monday's list, I will feel a little less pressure. But the truth is, then I realized, it's a funny conversation. Again, we talked about this in different ways, but the point is really about shifting your perspective. I realized that I identify the grocery store as a stressful opportunity, a stressful environment situation. It stresses me out. So I dread it. And I realized, you know what, I could go in there, not like, you know, what's that show where they have like 20 seconds to get all the ingredients off the shelf? There's a game show like that where people have to rush through. Anyway, that's how I grocery shop, because I hate it. But then I realized, you know what, I'm going to go tomorrow. I'm going to put my music in my ears, and Monday, I scheduled it, and I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to look for new so my point is, something that it is absolutely possible in a moment's decision. And that's really where we want to take, I think, the rest of the conversation this morning, is to make those decisions, to decide it's not going to bother me anymore. I'm not going to let how well so and so is doing make me feel this way anymore. I'm not going to let the way someone talks to me make me feel less than. I'm not going to allow Trader Joe's. Oh, I shouldn't have said it, right? Trader Joe's, which is a very peaceful supermarket, relatively speaking,
Relatively,
right?
it is.
The music, I like to sing along with the music. The people are friendly there. The food is good for you. But I can choose how I go through that experience. And that's really one of the most powerful things to awaken that sense of wholeness, is to take the role of the driver of your life back into your hands, to grab the keys from whoever is driving your mood, your perspective on how you're doing, your measuring your success, to take the keys back from those people and those things and start to focus on how much you already have, so that you can grow those, let's say, those plants into a really fruitful and abundant garden.
So we've talked about, in general, how our thoughts and our feelings internally will dictate and determine what we see and experience externally. Let's get into the details now of patterns that people follow. There are things that people do that are most egregious, that bring out the negative reality. And I see this a lot. I see people who are confused as to why they're attracting the reality they don't want. And they're good people, and they do a lot of positive things, and they maybe follow a lot of advice that we outline here according to the Kabbalists. But there could be one or two things that they're doing or thinking about that are poison pills that pretty much sabotage the whatever they're trying to achieve in their life. So I don't know if you want to go ahead and start sharing that.
Well, I'll open it. I'll begin the conversation. Last week, David, you mentioned something. We speak about, like Coca-Cola or Kleenex at the Kabbalah Centre. Mm-hmm. It's called certainty beyond logic. And certainty beyond logic is really the goal, Kabbalistically speaking, of where our mindset should be 24/7. Now, easier said than done, right? What gets in our way more often than not is the opposite of certainty, which is doubt, right? Doubt because the statistics are the opposite of what we want to happen. Maybe the doubt is there because we've tried before and it hasn't been successful. Maybe the doubt is there because someone in our childhood programmed us to think that way or feel that way about, again, we could really relate it to anything. But the Kabbalists say that doubt is really the result of having what's called a weak mind. A weak mind, meaning everybody has doubts, right? I'm not sure I can do this. Now, at the moment you have the thought of, I'm not sure I can do this, or I'm not sure it's going to work out, you have a choice. You can follow that path of thinking, right? It's a very slippery slope once you begin, if you decide to go that way. Or you can say, you know what? No, I don't want to be a statistic. I want to rise above what's possible. I want to go to the realm of impossible, of miracles. I know I can have something magical, unnatural, supernatural, if I can go against my nature. What determines whether we go down the slippery slope of doubts or we rise above it, we use the doubt as a stepping stone to a stronger consciousness? The Kabbalists explain can be one of two things. Why do we have that weak mind? The first one, and it feels so, when I came across this, I was laughing because it feels like the perfect, the next logical thing to talk about, especially after the last few episodes that we had. But the first thing that they talk about is whenever we feel we think we're better than ourselves. Whenever we think we are better than other people, that is one of the number one, at least in the top two, of consciousness weakening thoughts. Anytime that I think I know better, I am better, I have more, anytime I look down on anyone, we are, and you know, usually those thoughts are very subtle. They're very, they may come from, as we were talking last week, childhood programming, cultural programming, maybe the result of things that we're seeing on the news, or, you know, somebody tells you, hey, I think our neighbor is evading taxes, right? You hear that from the other neighbor, and suddenly you start to think, that's scum. Look at him avoiding taxes, right? That thought weakens your ability to fight your own negative spiritual thoughts.
So in summary, what we're saying here, and I like where this is going, that we want to feel whole. Feeling whole will be able to help you create the right destiny. But the problem is what weakens the mind to not even be able to help you feel whole, and is this first thing that we're saying, which is when we think we're better or we know more than someone else. And a lot of times when people hear that, they go, well, that's the disease of people who are successful. That's the disease of people who make great things happen. So they think they're better than everybody else. And actually what I've learned is our people, obviously there's outliers to this, but people who achieve a lot and who are successful in whatever field, whatever you call success, in order to get there, like there's this term, there's no accidental billionaires. That in order to get there, they went through so many humiliating and painful experiences that they know that the minute they kind of step outside of the bounds, they get zapped. So a lot of times when people are feeling better than other people, it's not those who have achieved more. It's actually those who are, what's the best way to put it? It's the opposite. It's the people who talk more than they manifest. It's the people who have ideas but don't want to do anything about them. It's the people who are always telling others what to do, but they're not following the same advice. Those are the ones who think they're better. When I talk to people who have achieved, it can be athletes. It could be like an amazing mom. It can be like a mom who's just like an amazing mom and never just like you're impressed. You're like, oh, well, that's impressive. They don't think they're better because in order to get to where they got to, they realize that there is a certain level of consciousness they need to have. And that if they do think negative thoughts, it's going to backfire immediately. And as a result, they're able to adjust themselves. With or without Kabbalah, they're able to quickly adjust themselves in order to get to where they need to be. I remember talking to someone just recently, amazing career, amazing success. And one of the things he told me that is the secret of his success has been his wife helps him check his ego at the door. This is after 25 years of marriage. And he says that this is what actually helps him be successful in the business world. So I thought to myself, he knows nothing about Kabbalah, that
That's impressive. Knows nothing about Kabbalah,
nothing about Kabbalah.
And yet he knows that
well,
ancient secret.
This is an ancient secret of we know that in a marriage, that the wife is a spokesperson of the creator. So I talk about this in the relationship classes, especially with the one that we have just about men, that the creator speaks through the female aspect of the relationship. So that's even if you're not married, if you just have a female in your life, the creator speaks through as a first way of giving you a message. And if you don't listen, then it comes through other chaotic forms. But he learned, probably through a lot of trial and error and pain and suffering, that if he listens, that there's something divine about it. And as a result, his entire life is better and more fulfilling and more successful. So, and again, it's not about the wife. It's about that the creator becomes a messenger through your partner. The creator is a messenger through your partner initially when the creator wants to tell you something about what you need to change. And if you don't listen, then it has to come through more painful means. My point here is that if we think we're better than other people, it's probably because we're not achieving in our own lives. It's not because we're so good at what we do, that's why we think we're better.
Well, very easy illustration of what David is saying is the bully on the playground. Mm-hmm. They're feeling bad about themselves, so they go and they make someone else feel worse than them, which makes them feel better. And I know that from working with many people, reading many books, etc., that the natural tendency when one is feeling bad about something is to find someone who feels worse or to make someone else's. When I say natural, I don't mean it's right or good. It's just the human nature, which in unconscious moments can be very destructive. Mm-hmm. We look for, let's say, for example, David, you're looking at the amazing mom, and you look at her and you're like, how does she have it all together? I don't know how she does it. I bet she's anorexic, or we find a way to, she must have been terrible daughter. And we find a way to look down on her to make ourselves feel better. What actually happens in that? What we're now we're going to circle back to the bigger idea that by me, it becomes this vicious cycle. I had a doubt about myself that was triggered by somebody who looks like they're doing better than I am at what I'm trying to do well at. I start to look down on her. And then I've weakened my ability. The next time that doubt comes up for myself, I've weakened my ability to fight that doubt, to overcome that doubt. So part of what we want to bring to everybody's awareness this week is to catch yourself in those moments of either complacency, self-deprecation, insecurity, feeling bad about oneself, not feeling whole, right? We said we're going to talk about the things that interfere most with our natural state of feeling whole is allowing ourselves the luxury to put people down, even just in our minds. It doesn't have to come out of your body to have this effect. You don't have to say it, type it, sing about it. It's simply a bad habit to think that way if you want to strengthen your consciousness.
Here's a great example. Yesterday, somebody's like, "Oh, you have to check out this this couple. They're amazing. They created this amazing business, super successful." So I Google the name of this couple, and the first keyword that comes up, the first search term that comes up is the name of this couple, and then the word divorce. So I said, "Oh, the first thing I thought is like, oh, successful. They probably got divorced, because that's sometimes what happens after people achieve certain levels of success." And then I'm looking everywhere. They never got divorced. There was not even talk. They never even had a rocky, like according to everything I read. In fact, it was all positive, like how they've been married for so long and how it's so great. And I thought to myself, why was the first keyword? Why was the first search term divorce? People, and again, maybe I'm projecting, but
they're wishing.
They're almost like, well, this can't be that good. So they're typing in, John and Jane divorce. Thinking,
fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Like I hope they're gonna fall, because we like that. We like to build people up because we want to feel like we were the cause of that. But if people become too successful, or they become too good, or too happy, and have too much joy, then subconsciously we want to tear them down. And we're hoping, even though we'll never say it out loud, we're hoping.
Oh, some people say it out loud.
Some people say it out loud, but we're deep down inside, we're thinking, wait a minute, they're exceeding in their life to be happier and happier is actually making me feel like I'm falling behind and worse about myself. And so what Elishev is saying, that quoting what Michael Berg shared, is what weakens the mind are these destructive thoughts, these destroyer thoughts of I hope that they suffer. I hope that they go through something negative. I hope that their deal
they
falls
aren't
apart.
as smart as me. They don't know what I know. It's just a matter of time. That kind of stuff.
Exactly. Because if they fall, then it means that I was right about the way I approach life. And if they succeed, it means that I am wrong and that I need to update or optimize or change the way I look at life. And that's a painful thing. But the person who's able to let go, the person who's able to recognize that right away and then say, I want to be a channel. I want to be a channel of goodness, of what we call the right column, of the light of the creator, and sends energy, even if it's fake in the beginning, but makes that attempt. All of a sudden they strengthen their mind. And all of a sudden their whole destiny changes. Your personal destiny changes. And that's what we want ultimately, right? So this is, I think, the first point that we want in terms of strengthening the mind and as a result strengthening your destiny. When you find yourself having negative thoughts, even thoughts that are very deep down inside, they're not even thoughts, but kind of like you're happy to see others suffer, quickly recognize that and replace that with the light of the creator. Meditate to send energy and positive energy. Pray for this person or this couple that you are hoping don't succeed.
So that's
number one.
Number one is thinking you're better than everybody, wishing badly for everybody, feeling that we talked about it a couple weeks ago, the superiority thing, even looking, I may be single and they're happily married, but I would never marry that guy, right? Like that's it. It's very subtle. And that quick little rush that it gives us that makes us feel okay for a moment, according to Kabbalah, is actually depleting
That's
the
right.
overall sense of wholeness and strength, the ability to fight the doubts when they come up.
That's right.
The second one, I'm gonna give to David, because it's
What are you giving to me?
the other kinds of thoughts that weaken the mind.
Well, share it, and I'll answer
Okay, so the first one is the thoughts of superiority, feeling better than other people, feeling superior. Let's leave it at that. The second kind of thoughts are sexual thoughts, and specific kinds of sexual thoughts, right? Kabbalah would never insinuate that having healthy sexual thoughts about your partner is a bad thing. There's certain kinds of thoughts that are definitely detrimental to having what we call strong consciousness, or being able to fight those thoughts. So,
okay, so that's what you're.
I'm lobbing it to you right now.
I see. Okay, so I don't know if we've talked about it a lot on the show, because I mean, obviously it's a big topic, but not something we discuss much here. The Kabbalists are fairly clear about polluting the mind with impure thoughts,
right?
And what does that mean, impure thoughts? It's thoughts that awaken lust that goes nowhere. So, for example, a person can think about someone who would never. Imagine you see someone on the street and you find them attractive, and you know that the 1 second look, it's not an issue, because the Kabbalists also say that when someone is attractive or beautiful or handsome, it's because, what is beauty? Beauty is the light of the Creator. So a person sees the light of the Creator, right? So you see the energy, you feel the energy, and that's not a bad thing. The problem is, it's after that initial second, so after that 3 seconds, then you become a taker, and you take. And it can be a person that you never even will meet ever again. It can be a person that you don't even, it's not like this is your soulmate, now you're going to have a relationship with this person. It's just someone, you take energy. Some people even make comments. Some people even say, I remember one time going to dinner with someone, and my back was to the door of the restaurant. So all I could see was this person in the wall. And he's like, oh my God, you know, you got to look at what just walked through the door. And I'm like, unless it's Bigfoot, you know, I'm not planning to turn around right now. And I said to him, and I said, why, what's there? He's like, no, you don't understand. You need to look at what just walked through the door. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, if I look, what am I getting out of this? So the Kabbalists say what will happen is your eyes are the gateway to your soul. So you'll start to see something, and then you'll start to have fantasies, and you'll start to have thoughts, and you start to have desires, all of which are going to lead you astray. And it says that impure thoughts, especially when it comes to sexual thoughts, are one of the hardest to remove from the imprint that it has on the soul. And what it does is it starts to suck your energy, and it starts to drain you. And there are books written about this, actually, about people who are addicted to pornography, what it does to them. It totally rewires their brain. It's worse than drug addiction. It rewires their brain. It removes their real desire for healthy relationships. It destroys the relationships that they have. Literally nothing positive comes from it, from looking. And so the Kabbalists say, if you can keep your eyes guarded and pure, and it's not easy, especially in our society, because the opponent puts these images everywhere. We know that sex sells, and so advertisers know that. And so, but if you can guard your eyes to the best of your ability, and the Creator will help you with the rest, as long as you have this desire, then you'll see that your internal desires become very healthy. And I once had this student in New York, this was probably like 15 years ago, and he came to me and he said his relationship is on the rocks. Probably married 15 years. And I said, well, what's the issue? He's like, I just don't really have appreciation or desire for my wife. And I said, well, let's go with the low-hanging fruit. What are you doing with your eyes, right? And we had this conversation, and he said, all right, well, this week I'm going to look at nothing impure. Just avoid looking at anything. Not look at my secretary, not look at this, not look at the street, not look at what's on, on the computer, whatever. And it was a big restriction for him, because I don't know what the stats are, but most men are immersed in this. So, and he said a week later, he came back and he said, problem solved. Like, he literally thought completely differently about his wife, because all of these other images that he was looking at, which he thought, what's the big deal? right? And people say, oh, you're a man, it's a healthy thing. You know, doctors even say sometimes it's okay, but he was absorbing desires which were draining him of his pure desire, and as a result, the desire for even his partner diminished. So 50% of the time, I tell men who have either financial problems, or I mean, this has to do with women too, but this is mainly this happens to be a prevalent male issue. If you as a man have these three things: number one, struggling in your relationship; number two, struggling in your business; or number three, constant like bad things happen to you and you don't even know why. Number one reason usually is you're looking at the wrong thing when it comes to sexual impurity.
I think David is also sharing that is a cliffhanger, because we are going to get more into talking this month about how our environment, how what we digest, not only food but other consumables, affects us. And that's a great example of how something that seems pretty innocuous in a lot of cases, you can't even help it. If you drive down the street, there are billboards. I actually always laugh when I see billboards for clothing company with models who are naked, right? That's how you know sex sells, because they are selling their clothing with no clothing on the billboard.
It's not easy in Hollywood. I've been driving around Hollywood constantly.
It's scary.
Every other billboard is like a Fashion Nova billboard. Yeah.
So the part of what we're saying is we say this almost in every episode, right? Everything is a choice. What you look at is a choice. You can say, well, David, I'm driving down the street. I turn my head. I see a billboard. I can't help it. David's point is, okay, you saw it. How long do you think about it? How many times do you remember it? Do you Google the clothing company just to see the ad again on their website? That's really what we're asking. Or
I have some more to say about this, because I realize we're probably not going to talk about this again for a while. But when you finish,
no, I'm finished. I'm too excited now to hear your.
Because when I guide people, especially men, on this, it is one of the fastest ways that they reverse any kind of negativity that they're having in their lives. And people say, well, what can I do? It's everywhere. It's everywhere. And so the Kabbalists actually say, if you wake up in the morning, you pray for protection. Like you actually ask the Creator, help me not see it. What will happen is your head's not going to be like this, like turret. It's a turret, like those little, like it's like some kind of a weapon that just like going around, like looking at stuff and shooting stuff. So if you actually ask the Creator from the beginning, help me and guide me. So what will happen is you will have this buffer that the Creator will speak to you and protect you, and you won't see it. But even the Kabbalists say, looking at like a naked mannequin, for example, it talks about that even will awaken the flames of lust, and as a result distort your desire, and then you'll start to desire all the wrong things. And we know that when we start to desire the wrong things, we start to attract the wrong things, and then that pattern continues and continues. And this is just on the topic of thoughts. Obviously, we know that thoughts eventually lead to certain desires, which then lead to you'll say things that are inappropriate, you'll do things that are inappropriate, and then it leads to actions. And then the actions, once it starts to manifest in the physical world, it's another layer of chaos. So to everyone out there who has, and they think it's not a big deal, but if you have addiction or you find that you're immersed in this stuff, I will tell you that if you try 1 week of just being pure, not suppressing this, but just getting excited about being pure with your eyes and your actions for 1 week, watch what happens to your financial situation and your soulmate situation. I'll tell you an example. Like I told one of my guy students who was really begging to find his soulmate. I said, well, if you really want to go deeper with this, let's open up your I think I talked about it. Let's open up your Instagram account, and let's like, what were these 35 people you're following? Like, what value is this bringing to you finding your soulmate?
They have excellent spray tans. I'm exploring spray tans right now.
Yeah, he wants to see what's the newest fashion for women that he can explore for his soulmate one day or something. I don't know. But these are practical tools that I'm sharing with everyone to obviously, you'll know why you're following somebody, but it all comes down to intention.
And there is a lot to be said about desire. One of the questions that came up here is, can we talk about how to overcome self-esteem? I think we definitely did at least 2 episodes about that as well in the past, but it's really connected to what David is saying and what we brought up before, the idea that, you can have a thought and it rolls right off of you. Well, that was a stupid thing I said. Okay, and I leave it alone, and I note it for next time, and I'm going to be more careful about how what I say when I'm on stage. Or I can sit with what an idiot I was and how I do this every time, and I am worthless, and why do I even bother? Who even gave me permission to say, right? There is a difference between the two. None of us, David and I, are not standing here and saying, never have a negative thought. Never. Don't think badly about yourself or any other. It's not possible. We are here on planet Earth for the sake of being supernatural. Supernatural means not only overcoming. Actually, that's something else I read that was really beautiful. I think I'm going to go with it since I didn't write it down, but I'm going to go with it. That rising above our nature, going against that selfishness, that what about me, that survival mode. Maybe we understand why that it would be good to rise above that. It would be good to be more generous, magnanimous, kind, loving, getting, especially in this month, one of the signature qualities of our Taurian friends is that they like to be comfortable. We talk this month about getting outside of your comfort zone. What does getting outside of your comfort zone mean? It's not about, I don't want to get up to get the remote control, getting out of my comfort zone. It is knowing my nature. If it's natural for me to sit back and judge everybody rather than helping out, it would be against my nature to stop judging and help out. But what's even more powerful is that if you look at the positive things that we do, think about this for a moment, everyone who's listening. Think about the positive things that you do. Those things are also in your nature. It is natural for me to bake 3 dozen cookies for my friends and family. It is my nature, my desire to share with the world through my work in the kitchen. Yes, I am good at it, but it's also in my comfort zone. I love it. I enjoy it. It is my second nature, let's say. Kabbalah teaches that the real light I'm going to reveal is going to be the sharing that I do that's not within my nature, right? The good that I'm going to do is not going to be the stuff I'm good at. It's going to be the stuff that I think I'm not good at that makes a difference in people's lives. So as we look at the coming month and the opportunities that are going to come at each and every one of us, one of the things we want to look at is just that. What is natural for me? If it is natural for you to sit and roll around in the self-pity and feel bad, that is the one and only thing you should be focused on this month. Focus on the things that are unnatural for you and do more of them. We always say in the new moon especially, which is today and tomorrow, Monday and Tuesday of this week, that it is even more important in that time period, in that window of time, to set the precedent for the coming month. Who do you want to be for the next 30 days? Be that person for 2 days, and it'll be easier for you to step into that role, those roles, that person, the rest of the month. So what we're saying now is in as much as you can acknowledge today, yes, it's hard for me to wish good for other people that have the things I want. Yes, it's difficult for me when I get criticism or feedback. It's hard for me to accept it with love or to not go to a terrible downward spiral because somebody pointed out something else I can change. Find those things that are your comfort. That's in your comfort zone. It is easier for you to wallow in self-pity than it is to say, you know what, I'm going to, what's the word, dust it off, shake it off and move on. That's the only thing you should be doing this month. And with that awareness that by me making that effort now, this month is actually, I mentioned last week, we're in a time where it's especially important to be more kind, cautious with what we say, careful about our thoughts and our words and our actions. Take some piece of that comfort zone for you. Again, not the comfort zone of I don't want to go to the gym comfort zone, because that going to the gym may be a powerful thing, but it's more what's internally keeping you from going to the gym than it is about how long you spend on the treadmill. Find those things today, tomorrow, and make a plan to focus on that thing. Not doing that thing this month will create the kind of miracles that David is talking about.
So we talked about strengthening the mind and the things that weaken us. Remember how important it is. Your mind is your sacred temple. And we want to make sure nobody breaches the capital of your mind. So very important. Sometimes we're very lax about it. We make sure nobody breaks into our home, but sometimes we let people break into our minds. And the eyes are the first doorway that people try to enter. So protect your eyes. As a result, when the thoughts come, try to reverse them by igniting the light of the Creator, asking the light for help, sending positive energy. Don't let the flames of lust consume you, because it's a black hole that then takes everything in, and your financial situation, especially your soulmate situation, will deteriorate as a result. So you have the strength and the power to be certain, to be pure, and as a result, you'll see your soul is ignited, and all these positive desires will come in. This whole new positive reality will surface.
I want to end today's show with something that my teacher, Karen Berg, wrote a number of years ago about specifically this month and the opportunity. And at the end of it, there's a bit of a meditation. So if you're driving and you can't close your eyes, either pause and do this later or remember to come back to it, because it is really powerful. Karen writes, "The month of Taurus is the month of healing and light. It is not a coincidence that the entire month exists in the time of the spiritual building of the Omer. Taurus' purpose is to lift us up and renew us. For many of us in the world, we may feel lost or abandoned by the Creator. Life is full of souls who are in anguish and despair, but the Creator does not abandon us. There is a system and a way to connect to the energy that can make our lives worth living. Kabbalah means to receive for this precise reason. Our weekly portion reveals the veiled assistance that is sent from the Creator for each of us to partake in, so we may rise above difficulties, strife, and pain. We did not come to this world to suffer. We came to this world to be happy and whole. Each day and each year, we are nudged into the direction of our soul and the Creator so that we may experience this light of love and wholeness. Inside lies our power and potential to change and heal our lives, but we ourselves need to activate this energy. The light is there calling you. You only need to desire it and to allow it into your life. This week in your meditation, connect to the beauty of the circle. Close your eyes and take a long, deep breath, and then release it slowly. The breath comes and leaves you smoothly and repeatedly. Just as in each lifetime we come and we leave this world repeatedly, for there is really no end. Like a circle, our breath and spirit come and go, never a beginning and never an end. This is the circle and energy of the Creator, forever and endless. We find it in the fruit of the trees, in the roundness of the earth, in the faces of our children, and in the beauty of our beating hearts. Continuity is life. Continuity is healing. Continuity is love. Take this ball of energy from above and below and unify them. Take this light and move it around your chakras, beginning at the top of your crown, down through the ears and eyes, past the throat, through the heart, solar plexus, legs, and feet. Feel the body become whole once again. Like the priests, sacrifices, and holidays, you too are now complete and whole, for you are love, are born from love, and emanate love. Love is simply to be whole."
Wow.
Yeah. I came across that when I was preparing for today, and I thought, wow, that is really everything we're talking about today. So I can send you the full article. You can email us at energyboost@kabbalah.com so you can read the first 3/4 of that. I also want to remind everyone this Thursday we are beginning a Kabbalah 1 course, Thursday, April 15th at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. BST. I'm not sure what that stands for. It's going to be awesome. We've been preparing. I don't think in the history of the Kabbalah Centre 2 women have ever taught Kabbalah 1 together, certainly not across continents. So this is a historic, groundbreaking course. We'll put the link in the comments. You can also see it on the screen now if you're watching the video. Next one.
This is you and
the
this
other
is
one.
you.
The
You're
other,
teaching
the other
this.
one. Yes.
Yes. You and
Me and Yael Yardeni. We've done some stuff on social media to promote it. If you see it, share it, like it, enjoy it. This is really the best way. Of course, the podcast is designed to help people connect with and find the wisdom of Kabbalah practically and powerfully. However, the real way to get your feet, to get yourself rooted in the wisdom, is to take Kabbalah 1 in whatever format you can. David's going to give one later this month, so we'll be.
If it's too intense, if there's too much light and energy coming from two women giving Kabbalah 1, you can have a more dumbed down,
one man can give it also.
Reduced energy version of one man giving it a couple weeks after.
We'll be sure to share those links with you as well. As always, thank you for listening, watching, rating, reviewing, and sharing, and we'll see you next week on the Weekly Energy Boost.